Okay, being one to start on time, it is now 7 o'clock. Welcome to ANC3D for our June monthly meeting. Call to order and motion on the floor is to approve the agenda. Do I have a second? There'll be a couple of amendments today that was seconded by Commissioner Nowak. We are deleting DDOT stormwater discussion today. That has been postponed. And we are adding in its place an update for the MacArthur High School expansion plans that we received yesterday. We are deleting from official actions the letter on the National Park Service plans. Any questions? All right, without objection, the agenda is approved. That we have 6 commissioners present for that. We do have a quorum, but I see Commissioner Cologne Roosevelt entering the meeting. All right, as we always do, we are going to start off with our police report. Officer McElwee is here. We will get you spotlighted and take it away.
Good evening, Commissioner Duncan. Can you hear me? Good evening, commissioners, and good evening, everybody, all the residents. I'm Tony McElwee. I'm your police officer here at the 2nd District, also your traffic officer. And I'm here to present our crime report for the last 30 days. For the last 30 days, we had 10 offenses, 2 burglaries, 1 vehicle theft, and 7 theft from autos. Last month, when I reported, we only had 3 theft from autos, so the theft from autos have ticked up. I'll start off with the burglary. The 2 burglaries. The first burglary occurred in the 5300 block of Carolina Place on May 23rd, around 9 a.m. This is what crime was reported. Subjects entered the home and stole a cell phone and some merchandise and a purse, a couple of purses, I believe. Again, that was on May 23rd, 5300 block of Carolina Place. We also had a burglary that occurred in the 1600 block of Foxhall Road, which was reported on May 16th at 7:10 p.m. And it basically states S1 entered the event location on an unoccupied home without the permission via an unlocked back door. I don't know what was stolen there. We had 1 motor vehicle theft. This occurred on May 11th, around 12 noon, stolen from the 4400 block of Q Street. Was a 2018 Hyundai Elantra. I'm also looking that the vehicle was recovered. Let me see where it was recovered from 1410 4th Street on May 19th. The vehicle had been recovered and the owner claimed the vehicle. We did have, as I said, 7 theft from autos. I'm just going to go over the locations so your viewers know the areas where these are occurring at. 4500 Hoban, 4400 Q. I don't know if that's connected to the stolen auto that was on 4400 block of Q. 5100 block of Sherrier Place. 4200 block of Embassy Park Drive. 4800 block of Massachusetts Avenue. 4400 block of Greenwich Parkway. And they're all the locations. I had some emails sent to me today concerning someone saw on the Foxhall Village listserv that there was a robbery that had occurred on May 28th in the 4400 block of Q Street. We didn't hear of such a robbery, and we researched it. And actually, I just identified where it was. There was a robbery in the city, unfortunately, but it was not in the Foxhall Village. It was in 3D. The robbery occurred on Q Street on the unit block near Florida Avenue. So I just want to dismiss that theory that there was a robbery over there. There was not. Also, you may have heard we had a serious traffic accident this morning at 8:05 a.m. on Foxhall Road near Q Street, vehicle versus a pedestrian. Our major crash unit, they're the investigation unit that they investigate serious traffic accidents involving serious injuries up to death, involving death in accidents. They're a specialized unit. Major crashes, they're the best of the best. They are on scene. They were on scene, and they are handling this investigation. It is in its preliminary beginning of the investigation. I can't really go into particulars at this point. I can tell you that the major crash unit will leave no stones unturned. They look at everything. It'll just take us some time as the investigation winds through. I'll be able to give you more information. I can tell you that it was a 77-year-old woman was struck, and she was critically injured and transported to the hospital. And out of respect for her family, we're not going to go any more details at this time. With that said, I'm happy to take questions, complaints, and concerns.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions for Officer McElwee? If not, Commissioner Cologne Roosevelt.
Yeah, it seems like I don't know if I'm hearing this right, but it seems like the vehicle that was involved today had like thousands of dollars in unpaid speeding tickets. Do you know if that's true, and do you know what you all are doing to make sure that vehicles like that where the driver is continuously driven unsafely and put pedestrians' lives in danger, are being taken off the road, or at least they're the fines are actually being levied on them, or they're paying some kind of penalty, so they can't keep driving like this recklessly with basically impunity?
I did see some things flying around the listserv about the vehicle tag. As I said, it's an ongoing investigation. No stones will be left unturned. Okay. And you will get answers to that. I just can't provide the details right now, only because, this may go through the court systems, and we don't want to put any information out there at this point. So if there is, and I don't know if that's the case, I just read what was on the listserv like you did. But our major crash unit will look at all the details, facts, and look at that vehicle very closely.
This is Captain Haskins. If I could just add something for to address that very good question. The city has started putting boot patrols throughout this in terms of finding these high-risk vehicles and booting them, and also that they have also explored options on doing civil lawsuits against a lot of these vehicle owners that are driving these vehicles that you could even, by entering the tag into the DMV system, they owe thousands of dollars of speeding and other kinds of dangers. So there are a few different enforcement actions being taken by the city. The MPD is just one facet of it. Of course, if we run into such vehicles, we'd like to explore options also on being able to tow them for public safety reasons in terms of reckless drivers. And of course, something like that. With this case, we leave it in the hands of major crash rather than making an immediate enforcement action, because this could have a lot of felony charges. But I just wanted to interject with that. Back to you, Mac, to the very capable hands of Officer McElwee.
Thank you, Captain. And while we're on top of traffic, I'm going to go over the stats real quick, just to give you an idea of what we're doing here in the second district. From May 1st to May 31st of this year, we wrote 720 tickets in the whole second district. That ranged from seatbelt violations, distracted driving, speeding, crosswalk, red light running, stop sign running, and other violations such as expired tags and uninsured vehicles. As far as the arrest, moving from traffic, and these are just traffic related arrests, we had a total of 40 traffic arrests. And I can go over each one of those. There's 5 categories that we classify them. We had 26 people, they were caught driving without a driver's license. 4 arrested for counterfeit tags. We had 7 driving under the influence of alcohol or marijuana or drugs. 1 operating after suspension. 1 reckless driving. And we had 2 other traffic arrests, and those 2 in the other category were open containers of alcohol inside a motor vehicle. So with that said, I'm open for.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions. Chuck, I saw your hand up. Did you get your question answered?
No, the captain gave that information. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Simkowitz, and then we'll go to the people in the audience.
Hi, this question is for either Commissioner Elkins or Officer McElwee. We've had a lot of complaints of speeding on 44th Street in Foxhall Village and Foxhall Road itself from the beginning to the end of the street, specifically by Hardy Park, where there's no those flashing signals that people can push to cross the street. And there was another request for either a traffic signal or a flashing signal in the middle of Foxhall somewhere. I forgot exactly where it was. Is there anything we can do in your expertise, both of you, that we're not doing right now?
Well, we'll continue for MPD's standpoint. We'll continue to monitor for speeding, red light running out that way. And if the ANC wants to try and get the city to install some type of light that you're talking about, Commissioner JP,
Yeah.
you know, we would certainly be present to offer whatever testimony you may need from us or stats. I don't know if Captain Haskins wants to jump in on that question as well.
And Commissioner Elkins, what can we do as an ANC to move that along? Because I know that you've been very supportive of these kind of measures, but we're frustrated by DDOT, which doesn't seem to want to do anything on this.
Well, the first thing to do is to file a traffic safety investigation, or I think now it's called input, for those requests for those signs. But don't hold your breath to get them installed. It would help, to perhaps provide some data. Unfortunate as it may be, this accident today may in fact be a supporting piece of evidence to actually get DDOT to act more quickly, because they do look for safety issues as the main criterion by which they choose which of these TSIs they respond to. So perhaps why don't you and I consult offline, Commissioner, and we can talk about maybe filing a new request.
Thank you. As always, Commissioner Elkins, because you seem to have the answer all the time. So thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Nowak? You're still muted.
Thank you. Officer McElwee, I think the way MPD could support us as we wait for any additional signals, I think that intersection or traffic crossing to which JP referred is the one just south of the lab school building. There's a crosswalk at, what would that be? It's not Volta. Is it Volta, JP? What's that street?
It's
below
between
Q.
Volta and Q.
Yeah. So that would be people coming out of the park onto Foxhall and trying to cross into Foxhall Village. I know that you occasionally do crosswalk watches to see drivers blowing through the crosswalk when there's somebody waiting to cross. That if you can keep your eye on that particular walkway, that is one that's very commonly used by families to get back into the village.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Nowak. Yes, we will give that special attention out there, that crosswalk. And I just like to mention that it is a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign out there, if you saw that. So that helps us out tremendously with the enforcement out there. And I am going to go out and give it extra special attention, and I'm going to document my stats and bring them to your next meeting next July, just to give you an idea how many stops and what notices of infractions were issued. So I took some notes down, and I will bring that to our July meeting. Do we actually have a July meeting? Are you going to be off for July?
We do, on July 10th.
Outstanding. I will
Thank
be there.
you for that. Thank you.
And thank you, Commissioner Nowak.
Mr. Heimert.
Sure. Thanks. I wanted to follow up on the question about the collision today with the pedestrian and be a little more specific as Commissioner Cologne Roosevelt. 3 questions I have, which all are related. 1, has the driver been charged with any infraction or crime at this time? 2, is the driver been put under arrest at this time? And 3, was the car involved impounded?
As I said earlier, the major crash unit is investigating this. It's outside of the 2nd district. What I can tell you is that I know the car was impounded, as they normally are during the investigation. Captain Haskis, do you want to tag on to that? Other than, again, major crashes is investigating it. As soon as we get the information, we'll definitely put it out there as quickly as we can.
All right, so you don't know even if there was like a basic infraction, whether or not the major crash unit has more that might come based on their investigation.
They're investigating it, and if this does go into the court system with charges, I don't want to speculate about anything. So as I said, it's in the very preliminary stages right now, and if I had the answers, I would give them to you, and I'm sure they're going to start to surface probably sooner than later. But we just have to give it some time. For that, these and these are detectives, sergeant detectives with the major crash unit. So they go through things slow. They look at it with the naked eye. They look at it with a magnifying glass, and they put it under a microscope. So they're going to look at this real closely. And
No, I understand. It's just there's no charges that you can reveal have been filed yet.
Not that I know. Not
Yeah,
yet.
this is Captain Haskis. Finally unmuted myself. The charges, as is the practice in these cases, they do a very thorough investigation, and then they actually speak with the prosecutor first, and then charges are filed. So it is normal practice that the charges have not been announced or done yet, but we expect the result of the investigation. I don't know what it will reveal. I'm not predicting charges. But a case like this, we obviously all will be eagerly awaiting. I'll be calling down there tomorrow morning, calling them daily for updates. This is something that is very important to this community. And as soon as we get updates, we will share them with you all.
Thanks for that explanation of how the process works. Thanks, Commissioner Duncan.
Thank you. Mr. Beath, you're up.
Thanks. And Officer McAway, I just want to start off by appreciating, your responsiveness to the enforcement issues that we face, and it's great to have you working for us. Obviously this death hits very close to home, and I think many of us who live nearby really feel that, with the behavior of the drivers that we're seeing, that this was something like this was what was waiting to happen, and could well have happened to any of us. I was actually biking. I saw you, Officer McAway, a little bit afterwards, but I saw the incident location. I saw the vehicle and got the license plate and looked it up. And sure enough, that vehicle has $3,800 approximately in unpaid violations, and many of those, if not the majority, are for speeding. So this is unfortunately another example of it seems allegedly a driver who was not compliant and felt free and was free to violate the city speeding ordinances again and again. So my concern as somebody who uses Reservoir and has family members who use Reservoir Road, MacArthur Boulevard, Foxhole Road daily. What we can do to get these kind of drivers off the street, or at least to be more respectful of speeding violations and other violations. And actually, I should just note that, I don't like to speculate, but seeing that this accident happened apparently on a crosswalk immediately adjacent to a traffic signal, one thing I've seen a lot of is drivers that are speeding up to run orange lights, and sometimes they're running full red lights.
I would just like
So,
to
yeah.
interject one thing. We
Yeah.
don't know the details of the
No,
crash.
I know, and I say I'm not
We
speculating,
don't
but
know
I-
if someone was in, I'm just
I
saying.
know,
we
but
don't know.
I don't know that this is what I'm not saying. I'm not speculating, but I'm seeing this behavior, and I just, you know, I'm seeing a lot of drivers that are speeding up to run orange lights, and sometimes running red lights, and that's a violation that I'd appreciate it if Officer McElwee and other MPD officers can pay attention to and can appropriately sanction, because that's extremely dangerous, and that kind of behavior is how we end up with people getting killed on crosswalks. So anyway, with all that said, with that very long preamble, here is my question. I noticed that on many MPD vehicles, you have license plate scanners. If you utilize those scanners and you notice, or do you have the capability with those scanners and with your other equipment in the vehicle to be able to look up the amount of fines that drivers have accumulated or the other violations, pull them over on the basis of that information, and if necessary, impound a vehicle? Because, you know, at the moment we're relying upon booting,
That's a
towing.
great, that's
Yeah,
a great
and
question. Let's
okay, sorry, I didn't mean,
Okay.
but yeah, thank you.
Can you scan and then that data shows up?
Not that type of information. Those readers read tags. For example, if we have a crime, a stolen car, that stolen car is entered into that camera system, and when it goes past that police car, it sets off a signal for stolen vehicles, or if the vehicle is just involved in an armed robbery. But to answer your question, no, it does not. And nor, if it did, we just can't stop them based upon that at this time. But no, to answer your question.
I think Commissioner Elkins, you popped your hand up first.
Yes, I wanted to respond to this issue of not what happened to this incident, but the overall issue of people who are driving with lots of tickets. I think DPW, which is in charge of the enforcement of the catching these vehicles and impounding them, has as the captain mentioned, recently upgraded their program. We might want to invite that staff to a meeting and talk about what statistics they are coming up with in terms of performance. I've asked that in some of their meetings in the past and have not gotten a reply. It seems to me that we have a strong interest in seeing that program be effective, and it might be useful for them to know that we are interested, and we could ask them a number of questions. And in addition, with regard to this question of whether the officers can use the license plate equipment to spot these people, this is a matter, I believe, of administration and perhaps of law about authorizing those cameras to be used that way. I personally have testified in favor of having that kind of authority for the police. I think that I personally feel that we really are not doing as much as we potentially could as a district to catch these people. And I think we should use all the equipment that we have. And that includes, I believe, those cameras on police cars, which today, as the officer indicated, are not used to try to find these people. So if this is of interest to fellow commissioners, so we might consider it at a future ANC meeting.
Thank you. Commissioner Simkowitz.
As everybody knows, I've been active on trying to get the city council to pass laws that protect us, and they've been negligent in doing that. Not Councilmember Fruman, he's been very good. Councilmember Pinto has been very good, but the city council, as a general rule, has not given the police or the government the tools to take cars that speed through red light cameras, through speeding cameras off the road. And I don't know what happened in this accident, and we shouldn't comment about that. But in general, accidents will happen if we fail to protect our people. And that's what I've been yelling for and screaming about for almost 6 years now. So that's one thing that we can do, is get our city council to do their job.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I know it's been quite a day for you. I think we are done with our questions. So hopefully we'll be in touch in the coming weeks.
Thank you, Commissioner Duncan. And I'm going to put, as I always do in the chat room, my email address as soon as I conclude from here. For those of you, I know it's summertime, you're going to go on vacation. If you go on vacation, please email me the details, what, of your where you live, your address and all that. And we'll do vacation checks on your house, and I'll even respond on the computer and send you an email when we do go by to let you know everything's okay. So take advantage of that perk. And with that said, everybody have a happy, safe 4th of July coming up. Maybe we'll see you at the Palisades Parade, pie eating contest.
July 3rd, hoedown. Thank
We'll
you.
be there. Thank you.
Okay, we are going to quickly move on. I see Matthew Barclay is here. He is our MOCR, the Mayor's Office Community Relations Representative. Take it away, Matthew.
Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew Barclay. I'm the Ward 3 liaison for the Mayor's Office of Community Relations and Services. My information is in the chat. So if any questions you have or help you need navigating government, I'd be happy to assist. Some announcements. On Wednesday, May 29th, Mayor Bowser sent a letter to Chairman Phil Mendelson to highlight her concerns about the council's proposed budget as it currently stands. The budget raises $530 million in new taxes and fees without addressing several key issues the mayor raised in her May 17th letter to the council. I'll link the most recent letter in the chat, but include in that tax increase, there's $322 million being raised from paid family leave tax to its highest levels ever. $95 million by raising taxes on residences, businesses, gas and electric bills. $65 million by removing the tax exemption for interest on out-of-state municipal bonds, $23 million by increasing residential property taxes, and $2 million by increasing surcharge fees for taxicab passengers. Despite these tax hikes and fees, the council budget leaves DC public schools with insufficient funding for security, food, and technology, and it cuts essential investments we need to address truancy and get students to school safely. It also leaves 21 district government facilities, including DPR pools and recreation centers with insufficient security. The council's proposed budget makes significant cuts, including eliminating the new youth indoor sports complex at the former RFK Stadium, delaying the desperately needed replacement of a correctional facility, eliminating $31 million of improvements to our high crash roadways, requiring private property owners to comply with renewable energy requirements while exempting the district government from those mandates, cutting $28 million in downtown investments for parks, supporting the arts incentives, cutting $2.5 million from the Vitality Fund, our key resource to attract businesses to DC. So I will attach that letter and the May 17th letter in the chat. Moving on. Mayor Bowser announced that June is Caribbean American Heritage Month, as well as LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. The second annual Pride flag raising happened on June 3rd, and it was really wonderful. Also, if any resident would like to walk with Mayor Bowser in the 49th annual Capitol Pride Parade, you are welcome to. This is Saturday, June 8th. Please email me and I'll get you more info. And if you would like to come, email me your shirt size. DC, another topic. DC set a new record for visitation, surging past pre-pandemic levels with 26 million visitors in 2023. And so that's all I have for today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much. And up next from Councilmember Fruman's office is Elias Benda.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having us. I don't have too much of an update to share. The council had the first vote on the budget last week. We are personally very proud of what that budget includes, though we acknowledge, especially in a difficult fiscal year, there are always some shortfalls. I will highlight one of the important investments that budget makes in 3D is Councilmember Fruman worked with the chairman to advocate for an additional $20 million to the capital project for MacArthur High School. Those funds are allocated starting in FY26, and we envision them addressing the needs the community has raised regarding an expanded cafeteria and auditorium. So obviously that's not a part of the current project, but it's something that we look forward to working with DCPS, DGS, and the MacArthur community, as well as 3D, to realize in the near future. Aside from that, the second vote on the budget is coming up next week. We are happy to respond to any concerns from the first vote. And at this time, that's mostly it for me. I'll put my email in the chat, and appreciate anybody reaching out with questions, comments, or concerns.
I think we have a question from Commissioner Roosevelt.
This might be more for Matthew, but if either of you could answer, do we have any updates on the Wilson Pool reopening anytime soon?
I don't have an update at this time.
So, yeah, I can share. I joined Councilmember Fruman and Director Hunter to tour the Wilson Aquatic Center 2 weeks ago now. They have committed to us to trying to open it by the end of spring. We are really hoping that is the case. We've continued to ask for updates and for communication to the public to make sure that it is the case. Their previous goal had been for Memorial Day. Obviously, that was not met. So a shameless plug, please sign up for the council members newsletter, because we will definitely be sharing updates on that there.
Does
we
end
get
of
them.
spring mean like before June 20th? Is that
June 20th, apparently.
Yes.
yeah?
This-
All right. Well, we'll see. And then also on the MacArthur stuff, is the council member still pushing for the district to buy the Intelsat site, or are we, focusing on trying to expand MacArthur right now?
We're committed to making sure MacArthur High School succeeds wherever it is. So, as this plan moves forward and work continues to go on at the MacArthur site, we want to make sure that it's adequate. I think, the idea for Intelsat is still an important investment, whether or not it's a public high school for the city. We think it's a great opportunity in Ward 3 and for the district. So we're still, interested in looking at that site, but we do not think it's an either or situation.
Thank you, Mr. Benda. That was very informative, and we are all watching the budget closely. Mr. Beath, I'm going to call on you, but I'm asking you to keep it short if you could.
Okay, really quickly, to both speakers, look, we had a pedestrian that was killed today. You may have heard, all appearances are that the vehicle involved had $3,800 and outstanding tickets dating back to 2021 that were never paid. We have a speeding epidemic on our streets. Please convey to your principals that this problem is extremely serious, and they need to develop innovative measures to deal with this. What we have currently is just not working, and it's getting people killed.
I will say that I hear this a lot from a lot of constituents. So for what that's worth. Maybe we'll craft something up and work on something. All right, we are going to move on. I do not see DDOT here, so we are moving on, and I think we have Laura Marks from American University.
Hi, good evening, everybody.
Hello.
Things are a little quieter on campus. Thanks for everyone's patience as we made it through all of our commencement ceremonies last month. We have upcoming, we are in the process of saying thank you and farewell to President Burwell, who's finishing her time at American. And July 1st, we'll be welcoming President John Alger, who's joining us as the current president of James Madison University. So look for events coming up over the summer to welcome him and introduce him to neighbors. Sort of the next wave looking ahead is we will start fall move-in on August 17th and AU Welcome Week is August 26th. I will put my contact information in the chat and let me know if you have any questions.
I have a question. I know that there's some work going on the site there where the Army Corps of Engineers. Do you have any update on that?
Right. So yesterday, they did find 9 munitions related items as part of the ongoing work that they're doing there. DC Fire and EMS was able to safely dispose of the items. So there's no ongoing concerns beyond that incident, but we know as that work continues, we'll just make sure we continue sharing updates, and as anything comes up, we'll make sure the AU community is informed.
I just want to give you kudos because those are things that could easily be hid from the community. And it looked like you guys notified the ANC and some neighbors like right away, the partnership. So that's very much appreciated. And we like to see it.
Our pleasure.
Okay, thank you. Moving on. I don't see any other institutions here, but if you are here and I have missed you, feel free to raise your hand as we go on to commissioner updates. I am going to go in the order of the screen. So Commissioner Elkins, you are up first.
I don't have anything except to say that the Transportation Committee will be meeting later this month. We don't have a date yet, and it will relate to the bus issue, which we're going to discuss later.
Okay, thank you. I'm next on the screen, so I am going to go. I have a number of updates. Number one, I am going to be missing the July meeting. When I agreed to have this on the second Wednesday, I did not check my calendar, but I had a vacation booked for quite some time, and I will not be able to come in. So Commissioner Horn has said he will be running that meeting. 5122 Cathedral Avenue, which we have now been discussing for over a year, has an update. We have a BZA hearing scheduled for June 12th. We have received notice from the Department of Buildings that after they revoked the building permits, beginning of May, the builder, Mr. Agarwal, surrendered the permits officially. The Department of Buildings yesterday filed a motion to dismiss going forward. We, through our attorney, Ms. Themak, and Rohit Kumar, the neighbor, we are going to ask the BZA once again to ask for an extension because we still haven't seen any of the building plans that they haven't been filed. He hasn't filed for a raised permit. So I just have this sense that they want the BZA to dismiss the case, and then he's going to present plans he knows we have a problem with. So we are on top of that. I think this might be my final update on Eskridge Terrace. This is the one where the stairs went in the public space and no room for a sidewalk. The stairs have been moved. And the project was dead in the water for a really long time. And I recently found out what was happening. When they moved the stairs and went back through the public space committee, it had a re-review with the Department of Energy and Environment. And they made them re-engineer a lot of the drainage. So there is some extensive water retention facilities being built between the houses underneath the driveway. But I think that's the last thing that he needs to do, minus some interior work. So I do think we didn't get a sidewalk there, but I think the work that we did here got some real improvements for the neighborhood. So kudos to us. Last but not least, an announcement for the neighborhood. Palisades Community Association is once again doing the parade. Anyone can join and sign up. We love it if you tell us we're coming, but you don't have to tell us. We like families, bikers, scooters, organizations, anything. It is going to be on July 4th. The parade starts at 11. Lineup starts on Whitehaven Parkway at 9. And then for the neighborhood on July 3rd, in the early evening, there's a hoedown at the Palisades Park under a tent. We have a band, pie eating contest, pie baking contest. All of that is judged by Officer McElwee. It's a really good time. So hope you come out for that. That's all. I know I had a lot. That's all I have. Commissioner Nowak, you're up.
I have nothing, so I can give you some time back.
Commissioner Davis may be frozen, so I'm going to go. Okay, there you are.
He's here.
Gotcha.
There you are.
Can you hear me?
Yep. Do you have any updates?
Yeah, just real quick one. Just wanted to note, and we'll be talking about this later in the meeting about the cut through to Arizona. But in that process and in the discovery of the 311 and their actually terrific website and app for calling in missing signs or damaged signs and that kind of thing, I've kind of gone on a bit of a tear over the last week in an effort to kind of increase the beautification of our beautiful neighborhood that we live in. I've just been noticing lots of signs are askew or old or need to be updated or damaged. Some of them creating arguably hazardous situations. And it's really a terrific thing for both the commissioners and the public that is attending or anybody you know to pass it along because they seem to be pretty responsive. There was actually a stop sign over on Potomac in my SMD that was pretty aged and kind of really needed to be replaced. And it was replaced the next day. It was remarkable how quickly. So they prioritize stop signs for good reason. But I was really pleasantly surprised to see that. So I know that some of the other ones, it's going to take a little bit longer to respond. I also had an abandoned car around the corner from my house that was quickly disappeared, which was kind of nice. I don't know if that's because of my report, but anyway, it's a terrific resource and it seems to be working pretty well so far. I wanted to pass that along.
Completely concur. Commissioner Simkowitz, updates.
I don't have any updates, but I've got a question for you. Is the picnic on the 4th moved to the 3rd for the hoedown?
So there's two separate events. So the July 4th is the parade, and then there's a picnic afterwards. That's for the city, Bethesda, Arlingtonians, anyone who wants to come. July 3rd is more of a community event. It's free, but that is completely separate. So we have a July 3rd hoedown and then the parade and picnic. Thank you for the clarification. Commissioner Roosevelt.
I don't have any updates at this time, other than again mentioning the Better Bus initiative. I'm going to drop the link to the website in the chat so anyone can go look at it and see. We have a lot of changes to some pretty important routes in Spring Valley and Palisades, and so if you go there and take the survey, they're looking for input. We're going to talk about it later this meeting. Also, I want to say I really like Commissioner Horn's shirt.
That is the Palisades 4th of July t-shirt this year, on sale at the farmer's market. Commissioner Horn, any updates?
No, I just wanted to show the shirt. I think it's one of the best designs I've seen.
Excellent. The PCA would probably enjoy me saying that the sale of the shirts helps pay for the parade. The parade is wildly expensive, so it is a fundraiser. Thank you. Okay, we are moving on to our discussions.
Commissioner Simkowitz, I think did you call on him?
Yeah, he didn't. He did not have any.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I had the question, not a comment.
Okay, so we are moving on to our discussions, and our biggest presenter tonight is Commissioner Elkins. You may recall that we spent a lot of money on some software called District Engage to engage our community in things that are important to our community. And Commissioner Elkins has spent an unbelievable amount of time coming up within the software, coming up with a project that is designed to get input from all over the neighborhood and beyond on the new bus routes. So I'm going to hand it over to Commissioner Elkins. He's going to be sharing a screen. We're going to be going through the bus routes, the changes that they are proposing, and then the engagement software. And this is our big launch, and we are going to be putting it out to the listserv, some neighboring listservs, and we're hoping to get a real robust idea of what we are looking for in terms of public transportation. On that note, I am going to hand this over to Commissioner Elkins.
Thanks very much. Can everybody see my screen there?
Sure can.
Okay, so as you indicated, WMATA is coming out with what I think are their final proposal or near final proposals for changing the bus system. We are lucky, I think, in the sense that the new, recently new chairman of WMATA is very focused on buses, not just the metro. And so since we don't have a metro station anywhere near us, this favors our neighborhood. And this is something that we ought to pay a lot of attention to because WMATA needs support, and it needs some comments from us about their proposals. If they're not quite right, we need to give them the specifics. Each of us can individually look at these bus routes and say, well, you know, it's not going here, maybe it should go there. But each of us, though, it depends on where we normally take the bus, where we're going or whatever. And so that's true of every one of our constituents. And so this is why I would argue a survey is very important, because we need to hear from our community as a whole about what changes the community would like to see, not just individuals, but the community as a whole. And so surveys are particularly well suited for that. So what I wanted to do is, as Tricia said, is to go through these changes and then talk about how the survey works. Because my bottom line is this: I'm hoping that we will launch this survey tonight, and that each of the commissioners and the people in the audience as well will become ambassadors for this survey, and to try to get as many people to take the survey as possible. That will make it much more effective. And then we'll be able to write a letter, which we will review at the July 10th meeting and submit it to WMATA. Comments are due by July 15th. So let's see if I can make this work. So I'm going to start through the 5 different routes that make a difference to our ANC. The first one is the D6. Currently, as you know, it runs from Sibley Hospital to Stadium Armory, and the proposal is it run from Sibley Hospital to Chinatown. This is a small version of the map. Most of you are familiar with the D6, but you know, it starts at Sibley, comes down MacArthur Boulevard, goes to Reservoir, goes over to DuPont Circle, and then off the screen here, it heads over to Stadium Armory. I didn't bother to show that portion of it. Here's the new proposal. You notice it does start at Sibley Hospital, comes down MacArthur Boulevard as usual, goes up on Reservoir and goes over to DuPont Circle, but then it heads down to Chinatown. Does not go across town. Now, what's important many times is what the frequency is. I tried to compile here what the frequency is of the current buses. That's in the first chart at the top, and then the proposed frequency is below. Now, we don't need to study all this tonight because you're going to find this on the District Engage website, but just in general, you can see that the timing is generally not as good, I think you could say, except, well, it's mixed. There's no early service on Saturday and Sunday, and that may be a problem for the people who work at Sibley. So that's the D6. Moving along to the M4. Currently, as you know, it goes from Sibley Hospital to Barnaby Woods. It goes through Tenleytown. I think most of us who use this probably are heading for Tenleytown. It's a little disjointed getting all the way over to Barnaby Woods. But now the proposal is to go Sibley Hospital through Tenleytown as before, but heading, instead of Barnaby Woods, heading to Fort Totten. So sorry for my slides here. Hold just a second. See if I can bring this down. This is the current route. The main part that we're interested in most of the time, I think, is the bottom half, the Tenleytown to Sibley Hospital. The new proposal, as I indicated, does start at Sibley Hospital. It goes through Tenleytown, which is good for catching the metro. Goes on up Nebraska Avenue, but doesn't go all the way to Barnaby Woods. Instead, it turns at Military Road and heads on over past, I believe, the major hospital there, Washington Hospital, and it goes to Fort Totten, the metro. If you want to go to the dump, maybe that's a good place to go. Here's the frequency of the M4. Maybe I didn't explain. The idea is to compare the top chart to the bottom chart. The top chart is the current frequency, and the bottom chart is the proposed frequency. If you use this bus, you'll want to study this in some detail. But you notice that they are adding Saturday and Sunday, and some early morning. So this is a significant change.
Commissioner Elkins, very quickly, the M4, are they still calling it the M4, or is it?
No, it's called, I'm sorry, let's see, it's called, oops. I'm sorry, I can't tell you these numbers.
That's all right. It'll be in the
It's in the actual website, and
I heard the D94. I could be wrong though. I know all the DC ones start with D now.
I think the D6 might be the D94, but we can get to
that might be right.
show the engagement.
It's the C81. The C81.
Never mind.
We will at some point know these by memory. All right. Then moving over to the other side of our neighborhood on the Massachusetts, Nebraska, New Mexico area is the N2. Currently, it goes from Friendship Heights to Farragut Square and goes by way of Nebraska and New Mexico. They are extending it all out to Bethesda, which may be interesting for a number of people because Bethesda is becoming much more of an employment center. But it's heading, instead of Farragut Square, it's heading to the State Department and Potomac Park. And it goes by way of Western and Spring Valley and New Mexico. So I think this is both the N2 and the N4. If you're familiar with this route, I mean, they sort of overlap. We'll get to the N4 in a minute. But if we come down to the new map, you can see it goes all the way out to Bethesda, comes through Friendship Heights, goes to Western Avenue, and then comes down New Mexico, Tunlaw, and does go over to DuPont Circle, which is good, but then heads on down to the State Department instead of going to Farragut Square. And if I can get us to the frequency. The N6, by the way, is the weekend and night version of the N2. You can see that the frequency is slightly better in the new version. One of the reasons is because I think this is also substituting for the D2, which services Moore Glover Park. You'll see that I've added the D2 to the survey form because I had a request from ANC3D to try to get them some feedback on the D2 as well. So you'll see that on the survey. I didn't bother to put it here since I don't think most of us take the D2. The N4 is similar to the N2. It starts at Friendship Heights, goes to Farragut Square by way of Western and Mass Avenue. And the proposed doesn't go out to Friendship Heights. It instead starts at Tenleytown and goes to the Convention Center downtown via Nebraska and then Mass Avenue. So that's the same map you saw before. Whoops. This is the new version. As you can see, it starts at Tenleytown, comes on Nebraska Avenue, goes down Mass Avenue, all the way to DuPont, and then to the Washington Convention Center. And here again, the frequency is slightly improved, and it does have some early morning on Saturday and Sunday. As I said, you'll want to, those people who are affected by this will want to study these numbers in more detail. I'm just trying to show you what the general impact is. And then there's a new rush hour service. And this is important to our community because it serves during rush hour, it serves from Tenleytown to Foggy Bottom, but goes by way of Nebraska, New Mexico, and the MacArthur High School. This map is a little hard to figure out because in the fine print, you'll see that the part that we would be interested in is really the Tenleytown down through past MacArthur High School and on down to Foggy Bottom. So this, I think, in theory, is designed to try to help people get to MacArthur High School all the way from Barnaby Woods on down to the high school, and of course for a number of people in our ANC. And the part of the thing that we care about is the Tenleytown to Foggy Bottom. You'll see that the morning rush and the afternoon rush is 30-minute frequency. I guess it really matters when the 30 minutes is in terms of how it well serves the high school. So that may be of a concern. That's a pretty long, what do you call it, a headway or a headway?
Headwind, they call it.
Headwind. I'd certainly hoped that they were going to give us more frequent than that, but it appears not. Keep in mind, of course, that WMATA is under severe budget constraints. So I'm going to turn now to the survey in a minute, but this is how constituents can find the survey, and I hope we can put this in listservs and everything else. There are really two addresses, one that's focused just on the bus survey as opposed to any other project that may be going on in District Engage. I created one called DC Better Bus. And people may find that more intuitive, but they can also find it under the address, which will be the permanent address of our District Engage, which is 3dconversations.org. That's our new website, so to speak, 3D Conversations. So I'd like now to essentially take you to the survey. And this is what people will see when they come to the site. You'll notice, for those of you who are commissioners here, that we have called this the ANC3D Engage in order to try to distinguish this from our other website. This is a separate website.
Commissioner Elkins, I don't know if it's lagging. Does everyone see it? I'm still seeing the old.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe I didn't share correctly. Bear with me.
Those bus lines were very informative. Thank you.
Now, does that show it?
Yes.
Okay, so this is our new website, 3dconversations.org. We've called it ANC3D Engage up here at the top to try to distinguish it from our main website. We can get to this by going to our main website. You'll see at the top of our website, our regular website, there is a banner which takes people to this engagement site. And you'll notice over here in the navigation that we have ability to get back to the ANC3D main website. So that's just the connection between these. That's more for commissioners. So you end up down here, and here's a current project. We hope there's going to be more than one soon, but we're starting with this one. So you click on that. And if you use the DC Better Bus, you'll actually end up on this page instead of that first page. And so this says, please give us your comments. It tells why people should give comments just in the short paragraph. And then it has the 5 surveys that are available. The reason we're doing 5 different surveys instead of 1 is because WMATA really doesn't care about all of these all at one time. They're interested in looking at these on one route at a time. And so we need to be able to give them comments on the D6, the M4, et cetera. And so separating the surveys makes it easier. Also, I think many of our constituents will be interested in 1 or 2 of these and not all 5. So I'm going to take you through the D6. It's the more complicated in some ways than the others, but just to give you a sense of it. So you click on the D6 and you want to take the survey. So here we have the map that I showed you earlier. This is the current D6, just the western portion, and then here's the eastern portion. And here's the new route D4, which people can study in some detail. Here's the frequency. So you've seen these already. These are basically what people can study and say, well, let's see, the frequency is this, but it's going to be this. And can give us some comments. So then what are the questions? Of course, this is what the survey is. How often do you ride the current bus route? So this is looking for current bus riders, several times a week, several times a month, less often, or never. Okay. For what reasons do you take this bus? Select 1 or more. School, work, social visits, healthcare. Just as I say that, I realize I think maybe I'm going to add a none or something, because if they don't take this bus at all, they need to be able to get out of that. None of these are, only one of these questions is mandatory.
Yeah, and maybe people could also, like, if they use it for work, if their kids use it for school, they should answer as a household and click both.
That's right. That's correct. Then thinking about your normal destinations, will the new route provide you with better access to places, or about the same access, worse access, or not sure? If the new service ran more frequently than shown, would you ride the bus more often, about the same, or not sure? So this sort of gets to a major issue I think many of our constituents may have, and that is the frequency. And so we're trying to get to, is frequency really important to the person who's answering this? And with the changes that are now been proposed, will you likely take the bus more often, about the same, or less often? And then we have a couple of open questions for people to tell us what starting points or destinations proposed to be removed from the current route are important to you. So for instance, in my case, I used to go down to Farragut Square all the time. It'd be very difficult to get to Farragut Square under the new bus routes. So if you go to Farragut Square, you might want to make that comment. I don't ride it down to Farragut Square anymore, so I'm not going to make that personally. What additional comments do you have? What have we not asked that is important to you? If you do not currently ride the bus, what changes would encourage you to do so? this is trying to open up this survey to the widest variety of people in our community, so they can really tell us what they think and not hold them to just the answers that we've dreamed up, as best we could, if ones we thought would be representative. Now, this last question we added because about which ANC neighborhood do you live? Because in consultation with the chair, we decided to extend an invitation to ANC 3A and 3B and 3E to have their constituents participate as well. And the reason is because these bus routes don't respect ANC lines. And so our neighbors who live in these other ANCs will be affected by these changes to these very same bus routes. And by asking them, and this one is a required answer, we will be able to separate out the answers and send 3E, all the people from their ANC who answered these questions, so they can have this information and they can send this, they can have their own comments to WMATA, and the same for 3B and 3A. So that's the reason for this. And then we've added here at the bottom an important point that goes to this whole district engaged. If you live in ANC 3D, please do register after you submit the survey so that we can keep you informed of additional ANC community engagement projects and other neighborhood matters. We will not share your contact information, but we'll use it only for ANC 3D purposes. So if you do register, and let's see if I can be able to show you this. I'll go into the back end of the site in order to show you this. By the way, this is the kind of data we'll be able to get from surveys that you see there. When one registers, they're given the opportunity to indicate, and it's not in this form, but indicate that they're interested in other topics besides just buses. So buses, sidewalks and pedestrians, bicycles and scooters, vehicular traffic, transportation in general, land use, construction, public space, public safety, parks and recreation, schools and hospitals, trash, waste and leaves, seniors, environment, climate and trees, and licenses such as liquor and cannabis. This will, to the extent that we get our constituents here in 3D to sign up and register into this community engagement website, they can indicate they'd like to be involved if we ever get to something involving schools or parks and recreation or public safety. And then in a few days, I believe we will also be able to get them to answer questions. Unfortunately, this is a glitch in the programming of our dear hosts down in Australia, and they are trying to fix it for us as fast as they can to allow us to find out whether people live in Berkeley, Vauxhall, Kent, Palisades, Spring Valley, Wesley Heights, or other. So this will hopefully, we've never had, as an ANC, we've never had the email addresses of people who live in our neighborhood. Now that we have an engagement software, which we hope will allow us to engage more between constituents and the ANC, it will be helpful to know what neighborhood people live in, so that if there are things in particular, we might want to communicate. So even as simple, I mean, maybe this is not a good example, but if we were going to focus on traffic safety on that portion of Vauxhall Road based on the concerns that were expressed at tonight's meeting, then we would want to tell people who live in Vauxhall that we're beginning to do this and want to get their input. So that's the advantage of this. It's trying to foster a two-way conversation with with our constituents. So that's the end of discussion. And I guess, Madam Chairman, I would hope that the ANC would endorse the going live with this survey, and also become ambassadors to really try to get as many people to respond. I think I'm correct that last time we had a survey with SurveyMonkey, we got on buses, we got something like 500 or 600 responses. People care about buses in this community. And so I'm hoping with this more robust way of engaging people that we'll get maybe 1,000. And I think we may then end up being an ANC that can come into WMATA and say, look, we heard from 1,000 of our constituents, or 500, or how many, and this is what we learned.
I know that a lot of work went into this, and I like it that it's focused on our public transportation that is here. Do any of the commissioners have any questions? If you're thinking about it, there's a lot of work that goes into building these projects. I have built one that is about to launch to a small group of people on safe routes to Key. So that's going to be launching very soon. Commissioner Elkins, did you want to talk about the timeline of the launch and when you are expecting to collect data or collect responses, and then what happens after that?
Yes, thank you. I forgot about that. So it hopefully opens tonight, closes on Monday, the 24th of June. We wanted to close it soon enough because of the holiday with July 4th and all that, and which is an important holiday in our neighborhood that takes up everybody's attention, that we have enough time to actually analyze the results and produce a draft report, which we would then send to the Transportation Committee, which would probably meet the end of that week. That date has not been scheduled, but that's what we're hoping for, Thursday or Friday of that week, in which time they could help us and give us some advice based on the results that we will have already compiled from this survey about how we might address these issues with the WMATA. So that then by the time we get to the 10th, which is when our next meeting is, thank goodness it's not the 4th or the 5th, that we will have a letter that I think all of us will have had a chance to look at, and we'll be able to approve. I'm hoping that I will be able to persuade each of you commissioners to take a hard look at the results of the data. We'll try to package it up so it is not burdensome, so that you can make a major contribution to how we address what our constituents are telling us.
Thank you. We're going to be sending this out on the listservs, Nextdoor, neighboring listservs. We're hoping to get a real robust idea of what people are looking for. Thank you, Commissioner Elkins.
Yes. I would just say, I asked maybe JP whether you think the Foxhall Village Community Association might be willing to help us publicize this. Is that something you could help us with?
Sure. I think that they would like that because we have a lot of people that take the T6, obviously, which is the only bus route on our block.
Or if you could do that and give it some credibility so people will participate, that would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wonderful. I know how much work went into that, and I, for one, am excited to see it in action. So thank you, Commissioner Elkins, so much. Commissioner Roosevelt, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to say thanks to Commissioner Elkins. I mean, it looks incredible. It will hopefully be an incredible resource to us. And also, I think I might post it on Nextdoor because most people in Spring Valley are not on, the Palisades listserv or the Foxhall listserv. Maybe we should. Do you think we should put it on the Tenleytown listservs, or maybe just those ANCs will do that?
So 3E and 3B and 3A are going to distribute that on their respective listservs.
Right.
But yes, definitely Nextdoor, and I'll try and find it and comment it to help the algorithm. I know we're going to breeze through our official action, but this next presentation is on the latest with the MacArthur High School. And I think this is really important for the neighborhood. If I could get Catherine to pull up that slide deck, I have like 5 slides. So last night, the school improvement team met at MacArthur High School. They had a huge slide deck. I've just pulled out 5 slides of the stuff that I think everyone's going to care about. This is, if you're coming in the current entrance, this is what you are going to see. And I'm going to use my little annotation thing here. This is eventually, when part 3 is turned over, going to be the entrance of the school right here. This right now, where you see this building, is that current front parking lot. So that will be gone. Next slide, please. This is what you're going to see coming from the other way, the buildings in the background. This will all become a little bit more clear as we go on. So let's head to the next slide. Okay, this is very not intuitive, but where I'm drawing the green here is what is eventually going to be the ring road, and then it goes out. So MacArthur Boulevard is actually up here. This, to orient yourself, this is the gym right here. And a lot of this horseshoe is existing school that tiers down. This, and the school is going to end up being 5 levels. This part here is the new addition that is going to eventually be here for the 26-27 school year. So it's going to be built this summer. There's going to be a nice little courtyard in here. The design, this is a very difficult site. It's very pitched. So a lot of this stuff back here is way down the hill. Right now, when you walk into the school, you are on level 3. And this building here, where the new addition is going, is the new entrance. You're actually going to be walking into level 4, and there'll be a level 5 on top of that. So it's very, very tiered down. The current plan does not have any expansion for a cafeteria or an auditorium. That is being worked out in the budget. Right now, there's $20 million in the budget, but none of that would be spent until after this has turned over. So if we can go to the next slide, and this is where people are going to want to, the construction logistics. Okay, I tried to blow this up. This is MacArthur Boulevard out here. Right now, traffic in the morning enters here, comes down through the ring road, and exits over here. When this thing is done, all traffic is going to be coming in and out of this entrance here. And actually, when all is said and done, I'm sorry, when all is said and done, traffic is going to be able to traverse the opposite way. Traffic will come in on this side. But this summer, when they're doing construction, all of the traffic is, I'm going to change my color here so people know, all of the traffic is going to be coming in here and doing a U-turn. And this hash mark, this brown hash mark that I'm outlining here, is going to be construction fence. Now, huge trucks that need to come through will be able to come through the construction site and leave, like trash trucks and stuff like that. But the only traffic that is going to be coming through here is to service this apartment building. That's right here. So in the end, there will be a ring road that starts at what is now the new entrance and will cut through the campus and exit out on this side. But starting this summer, they're going to build this fence around here, and they are going to have this ring road. During construction, there will be 25 parking spaces on the site, and that is it. Can we go to the next slide? This is just a close-up of what kind of vehicles can go, but you can see here that the 25 parking spaces are along here. And then this is the ring road that cars will do. And then over here, it just shows if there's big trucks, they'll be able to cut through and go out the construction entrance. So for this summer is not going to be a big deal because the teachers are not going to be there. This situation is going to carry on into the fall. So there's not going to be a lot of on-site parking. Can we go to the next slide? This is what the project is going to look when all is said and done. So you will have our ring road back. This is the building here in light gray. We'll have our ring road back that cuts across and exits out this way. And then there are right here, I don't know if you can see it, but there's 40 parking spaces. And according to zoning, that is actually more than the required maximum, but that is all the parking that's going to be on here. So I think that is safe to say that while construction is going on, there's definitely going to be growing pains in the community. Commissioner Nowak.
Thank you, Commissioner. Just for people that are not as familiar with the site, just as a reminder, where on the screen right now where that arrow is sort of right below the word 2627, that is the intersection of MacArthur and 2th Street. Is that correct, Commissioner Duncan? That is the entrance today.
Yes, for some reason, I am hearing you very muted. Is everyone
Me
else?
too. Yeah.
It might be something wrong with your microphone because you're very faint. Can you ask that question again? I think you were asking about this
Yes.
area here.
Yes. Can you hear me better?
Yes. So Q Street is
Right at the arrow, right? Right where the 2627 is. So
Yeah.
there is a traffic light at that intersection today. And so do we have, I guess my question is, in the period of time where the entrance to and from the site will be down where the parking lot is circled, will those cars be making a left onto MacArthur, or will be no left turn? They'll have to turn right.
These are things I need to write down because we did not ask those and get those information. So
And more importantly, actually, I think more importantly, because, you know, truthfully, I don't care about the people coming off campus. I do care about whether people can make a left from MacArthur into the site. If they're coming northbound on MacArthur, will they be able to really hold up a lot of traffic if they can make a left into that parking lot?
okay, that is an excellent question. So we learned all this last night. I do believe that they are going to set up that construction fence as soon as school ends. We probably aren't going to notice a huge problem until school starts in the fall. So hopefully we can figure out those car turning issues. Does anyone have any questions? All right, I think we can stop sharing. Thank you. I am also going to be putting something out on the listserv that hopefully I will also post to Foxhall, the FCCA listserv, because I think that people are going to want to know that. Okay, we are moving on to our official actions. And the first item up is the 4913 Rodman Street BZA. The motion on the floor is to approve the letter of support. Do I have a second? Commissioner Simkowitz seconds the motion. Hopefully, I would like to ask if there are any neighbors who are here in the audience who are here to comment or be in support or oppose this this BZA application? Could you please raise your hand? Okay, great. So commissioners, if you read the site plan, there's a house that wants to do an addition. They have a small ADU in the back at the corner of their property. It's been there forever. And the addition is closer than 25 feet to the wall of the ADU, but it is significantly far away from the rear property line. So the zoning relief that they are asking is the distance between the back of the addition and the front of the ADU, which happens to be on the other side of the yard. So there, it's like an L. So they've gotten letters from surrounding neighbors. Does anyone have any questions? All right, all those in favor to approve? Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you all for your patience in coming and staying today. Next on the agenda is the AU Melter Center construction hours. Motion on the floor is to approve the holiday hour letter. Do I have a second? Commissioner Roosevelt seconds it. I'm actually going to amend the letter slightly, and I am going to read this. I added, after going back with some commissioners and American University, these are all of the general holiday hours from now through the end of 2025 or through November 11th, 2025. And the idea here is they work less on Saturdays if they can have these Mondays. It's what their thinking is. So the letter is the same, except for the end. It says, AU will make a good faith effort to limit disruptive and noisy work to the hours between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. ANC3D reserves the right to rescind this approval should we receive complaints from neighbors that are not being addressed. So I think I've covered all of our bases here. Does any commissioner have any comments on that? Okay. Without objection, the letter passes. Moving on to the retaining wall at 5328 Carolina Place. Commissioner Davis, would you like to introduce?
Sure. I make a motion to discuss the letter. Is it right that I sent around last week? I have a second. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So Catherine, if you could pull up the drawings there, it should be pretty easy to do, just so people can get a visual of what's going on here. It's basically a very large retaining wall where they have to extend it beyond the 42-inch limit. Let's see if we can find that. It separates the yards of two houses on Caroline Avenue on the hill between Galena and Arizona, going down the hill. So I guess that's on the west side of the street. And if you can see in the picture here, the retaining wall is really in bad shape. It's bulging, it's failing kind of at the bottom there. And so they're just looking to, I think there's a regulation that says anything under, can't be above 42 inches. I'm looking to extend that because you can see the difference in the elevations of the two lots. The Carolina is a pretty steep road right here, so the neighbors have very different elevations on the front of their lots. So really, that's all there's to it. I mean, not much to discuss that I can think of. I think we should by all means grant this exception so that they can get this thing back into safe working order as soon as possible.
I would like to add that I've been working with these two families. This wall is about to collapse, so I am in full support of them being able to redo it.
So I don't know if you guys have seen the copy of the letter. So basically it just says ANC3D writes in support of a special exception of the above referenced case. The exception would allow the construction of retaining wall larger than 42 inches to replace the current one that is failing. So pretty straightforward. I'd like to introduce a motion to approve the letter.
Yeah, let's call the question. If there are no questions, without objection, the letter passes. Okay, next one is also you, Commissioner Davis. Go ahead.
Just introduce a motion to discuss the letter that I sent around last week. Is that right?
You make a motion to approve the letter.
Approve the letter. Okay. Any objections?
I'll second that.
Second, sorry, excuse me, for procedure. So this is in response to kind of growing voices from my SMD. This has been a problem for decades now. Seems to have been getting worse in the last few years, to the point that we were just complaining about it. In fact, this afternoon, as we were heading to dinner, there were cars with Virginia plates flying up. I live on Macomb Street between Carolina and Sherrier, and cars flying up to take a quick left onto Carolina. And it was also kind of a personal thing for me too, as you may or may not know. I was struck by one of these commuters back in October of last year, and kind of tossed up onto the hood and wound up in the gutter. So I've got kind of a personal bent about it as well. But I've been hearing from a lot of my constituents that we want to do something. And so aside from like a big study to try and have something more involved, I think we can just begin with replacing the signs, because there are signs at all of the access, one block in from Arizona to access Arizona. It says no through traffic between 4 and 6:30 p.m. Monday through Friday, to prevent commuters from cutting through the neighborhood, to bypass the light at the intersection of MacArthur Boulevard and Arizona. And so there are kind of 4 ways they can do that. They can turn off at several of the streets, mine being one of them, Macomb, before you get to Arizona, and then taking a left to go southbound towards Arizona on either Sherrier, Carolina, Potomac, or even Dorset on one section. And there are signs at each one of those forbidding it, but the signs are, as Catherine, if you can pull up that photo, I don't know if you have the picture handy of the sign. It's just degraded. It's still legible, but it just looks kind of bad. If you look on the right below the speed limit, I took this last week, and the one on the left is kind of bent, you can tell, and the one on the right is discolored. The ones on the other egress are also kind of in bad shape. You'll notice back here, the car with its taillights on is about to cross a speed table. That was put in from one of my predecessors that initiated that some time ago to try and slow the cut through traffic. So this, what we're looking at right here is Sherrier with Arizona kind of in front of that car, about maybe 500 feet down, 400 feet down. And this gets backed up frequently with people trying to get onto Arizona, take a right on Arizona to get down to Key Bridge. So anyway, long story short, I think we can begin with just replacing these signs, making them brighter, more visible. And also, Shai mentioned this has come up in previous meetings, and Officer McElway has told us that he does set up here on occasion to try and ticket people, scofflaws, which is pretty easy to do. So any questions about that, about this issue? I guess I can introduce a motion to approve the letter. No objections?
Without objection, it passes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That ends our official business. Does anyone have any new business? And I'm also seeing now that I forgot to call for community comments. If there is someone online who has a community comment, please raise your hand. We always want to hear from you. Next up is the approval of the May meeting minutes. They are posted to our website. Motion on the floor is to approve the May minutes. Is there a second? Commissioner Roosevelt seconds. Any comments? All right, without objection, the minutes are approved. Marilyn, do we have anything to report with the Treasury? I know we paid Brad.
Yeah, I think the only significant payment for this month was that our former administrator who submitted an invoice for 14 months worth of labor. And then, as we discussed last month, we held that check until such time as he returned assets belonging to the commission, of which he was in possession. He has returned those assets and we have paid him, and that is the end of our business relationship with said administrator. So thank you to Commissioner Duncan, who arranged for that handoff to get that back, those computer assets back.
It was very nice and cordial, and we wished each other well. Our next meeting is July 10th. And as I said, I regretfully am not going to be able to attend, but Commissioner Horn will be running the show. Motion on the floor is to adjourn. Without objection, it passes.
I think this might be the fastest meeting we've ever had by like a lot.
Yeah, maybe. And we did a lot of stuff. I'm really excited to get this bus thing out there. Thank you everyone who is online and joined us tonight. I hope you find what our work here valuable, and that we're working hard for all of you.